They said she was only a children's book pony, but one summer on a salt marsh island, a foal stepped out of the pages and into real life, a wild swim, a town that fell in love, and a story that wouldn't stay a story. This is Misty of Chincoteague, where legends wear hoofprints, and a small island taught the world what it means to love the wild. Stay with me for the next few minutes. You'll hear how a real foal inspired a beloved novel, why thousands still gather to watch wild ponies swim, and what the book actually says about freedom, family, and responsibility. We'll meet the author, the Beebe kids, and Misty herself. We'll visit the movie premiere where Misty left hoofprints in wet cement, and a waterfront statue locals call Misty's Heaven. By the end, you'll know the true story, the heart of the book, and why it still matters. Here's the path. First, the islands and the ponies. Then, the Pony Swim. Then, Marguerite Henry and the real Misty. We'll move through the plot, clear, tight, and human. We'll fold in the themes, not as bullet points, but as feelings and choices the characters face. Finally, we'll step into today, what you can still see, touch, and stand beside, before we close with one simple idea you can carry with you. Picture a long ribbon of sand just off the mid-Atlantic coast. Wind and tide redraw it every season. Salt grass leans, egrets lift. On Assateague Island, horses live the way storms live, rugged, stubborn, shaped by weather and salt. They aren't fantasy. They began as domestic horses long ago, but here they learned a new language: marsh, dune, mosquito, thunder. Across the channel sits Chincoteague, a working island with watermen, families, and a summer rhythm that pulses with one tradition. Once a year, at slack tide, riders known as saltwater cowboys gather the Assateague ponies. They guide them through the shallow water, the herd bunching and churning, foals tucked close to their mothers. On the far shore, the town waits, kids on shoulders, cameras held high, hearts learning to gallop. Why do they swim? Part history, part management, part celebration. It keeps the herd healthy and the tradition alive. And it binds the island together. Volunteers, vets, families, and visitors who came for a show and found a community. In the 1940s, Marguerite Henry arrived with a pencil and a question. What makes this place different? She found her answer at a small ranch and in a small foal. The Beebe family, grandparents, whose names still echo around the island, kept and cared for ponies. Among them stood a palomino pinto filly with markings so distinctive people swore they resembled a map of the United States. Her name was Misty. Henry fell for the island, the people, the ritual, and especially that foal. She didn't just take notes, she took responsibility. She arranged for Misty to live with her while she wrote. Out of that bond came Misty of Chincoteague, published in 1947, illustrated by Wesley Dennis, and destined to be a book kids would read under covers with a flashlight, then hand to their kids. Misty was real. She grew up. She had foals of her own. She returned to Chincoteague and became the island's small, steady celebrity. The book didn't create the swim, but it did something quieter and more powerful. It gave people a reason to care about a place they'd never seen. The novel opens with Paul and Maureen Beebe, brother and sister, living with their grandparents on Chincoteague. They know the marsh, they know the tides, and they know the legend. A wild mare called the Phantom, so fast, so sly, she's dodged capture year after year. Pony penning comes. The cowboys ride. The herd gathers. This time, the Phantom appears, only she isn't alone. At her side, a new foal stumbles and trots, bright as sunlight on water. Misty, Paul, and Maureen are smitten. But dreams on an island aren't wishes. They are chores. They are early mornings and late nights. The kids take odd jobs. They save nickels in a jar. They ask themselves again and again, do we want this enough to earn it? At the auction, the crowd hums. The gavel falls. Their savings, their sweat, their summer, poured into one chance. They buy the Phantom and Misty. Joy bursts like a flock of birds. But owning a wild heart isn't the end of a story. It's the start of a choice. The Phantom's eyes keep drifting to the line of trees. Her ears turn toward the surf. She is home and not home. The Beebe family feels it too. Love, real love, doesn't clutch. It understands. The Phantom returns to the herd. Misty stays. Still a bridge to the wild. Still a mirror for the children as they grow into caretakers, not just owners. Nothing explodes in this book. No villains twirl mustaches. The stakes are smaller and truer. Can a child do the hard, patient work that makes a dream honest? Can a family love a creature enough to set it free? That's the pulse you hear under every scene. Listen to what the Beebe kids learn. They learn that work is a kind of love. Every stall swept, every fence mended, every dollar earned says, we're ready. They learn that freedom has its own gravity. You can keep a wild thing close, but you can't make its heart stop reaching for the horizon. They learn that community is a circle, not a spotlight. The swim isn't about one family or one foal. It's about neighbors showing up for something bigger than themselves. And they learn the difference between a pet and a partner. Misty isn't a toy. She's a promise of care, of respect, of attention that lasts after the first thrill settles. Those lessons are why teachers assign the book, but they're also why grown-ups reread it. The older you get, the more you know. Letting go can be the bravest way to hold on. In 1961, Misty came to theaters as a film. The island hosted a premiere. The real Misty was there. There's a moment people still talk about, a small slab of wet cement set out front. Misty's hoof was pressed into it. Not a stunt, a signature. Proof that a character can be both imagined and alive. If you visit the Island Theatre today, you can find those hoofprints. Kids place their feet beside them. Some bend down and trace the edges with a fingertip. And for a second, the line between book and world is gone. Walk to Robert Reed Waterfront Park, and you'll find a bronze statue of Misty gazing toward the water. Locals and visitors call the site Misty's Heaven. It isn't a grave, it's a place of gratitude. People leave flowers, they take photos, they tell a child, this is her. The statue isn't only art, it's a compass. It points to what the island values: care, memory, respect for the animals that shaped its story. A short drive away, the Museum of Chincoteague Island holds exhibits about the Beebe family, the books, the films, and yes, about Misty and her foals. When tours are open, Beebe Ranch offers another thread back to the beginning. And every summer, the Pony Swim renews the vow between people and place. Manage the herd well, keep the tradition humane, and welcome the world with open hands and clear rules. There are debates, as there should be, about how best to care for the ponies: veterinary standards, herd size, storm planning, long-term health. The point is not that tradition never changes. The point is that love is responsible. The island does the work. Maybe you've never ridden. Maybe you live 1,000 miles from salt water. It doesn't matter. Misty of Chincoteague is about something all of us recognize: the moment a dream becomes a duty. Paul and Maureen want a pony. They end up with a purpose. They step into that purpose not by shouting, but by showing up, day after day, until they are the kind of people a wild creature can trust. And then there's the other thread, the idea that stories can knit a community. Without the book, the swim would still be real. With the book, the swim became a pilgrimage. People arrive as tourists and leave as witnesses. They've seen something gentle and fierce at once. They carry it home. If you ever go, you'll hear the crowd swell as the herd touches shore. You'll feel the thrum of hooves under boards and boots. And maybe you'll visit the hoofprints at the theatre and Misty's heaven by the water, and you'll understand why a small island keeps making room for the world. Misty of Chincoteague endures because it tells the truth quietly. Dreams are earned. Freedom is honored. Community is chosen. Again and again. A foal from a salt marsh became a compass for a town and a memory for a nation. If you come to Chincoteague, stand by the channel at slack tide. Watch the herd swim. Later, find the hoofprints in front of the theatre and the bronze at Misty's heaven. Touch the edge of a legend, and when you leave, take the lesson with you. Real love doesn't trap the wild. It learns to walk beside it.